Does she look very uncomfortable? Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Abby and today I have another crochet and chat video for you. As you can probably tell by the thumbnail or the title, I'm going to be finishing off the evolution of Bulbasaur. Yes, I'm actually continuing on with the challenge that I set for myself. Surprising, I know. While I was looking at all of the Pokemon I would have to crochet to finish that challenge that I set for myself, I decided that instead of doing 150 separate episodes, I would instead do the complete evolution as one episode so that it won't be super long and you won't have to wait like 150 months before I ever get it out. Because of that, I know I have a lot of work ahead of me. 2 crocheted things in one video is gonna take a while. I also kind of want to make the Pokemon size up as they actually would in the Pokemon franchise, so we'll see how that goes. So without much further intro, let's get into the crocheting. I have 4 pages of notes for this story, so let's hope I can get through this in a timely fashion. You will be seeing a lot of my cats in this video because they couldn't keep away from my workspace. The lighting that I use warms up over time and the cats like to bask in that warmth, so they'll be around. I think this is also the first video where Arwen spends a decent amount of time on screen just because she wanted to have my attention. This was such a massive project, and because of that, it got me thinking about other stressful projects that I've been through. I think the worst projects for me in general were often group projects for classes that weren't a part of my major, because I wouldn't really get to know anyone in my classes since they were so big and I didn't really have a reason to until we would have to do a group project together. And often for some reason, that big group project with people you don't know is a large part of your grade. I really don't like that because you don't get to know who you're picking or their work ethic until it's like way too late. There was one group project in college that stands out to me as being particularly frustrating. During college, I would take a lot of business classes because I found them interesting. And one semester I decided to take a class called Intro to Entrepreneurship. Early on in the class, we were told that we would be working on a massive group project. However, we weren't allowed to pick groups until we had taken a personality test that would put us into categories. I wasn't really sure why we would be taking a personality quiz for a business class, but I just went with it because it was homework and part of the grade. I actually still have my test results, and looking at it, they give you 5 traits and the order in which you got them were important. I don't remember how big their list of all traits were, but each person would get 5. After we took this test, we were told that the groups we were going to have to form had to consist of almost every trait on the key, so we weren't really allowed to be in groups with people who thought the same way as we did. At first glance, that kind of sounds like a cool idea because you get people to bend and think outside of their own box, but in the long run, it was super frustrating. My top trait was strategy, and that apparently is supposed to mean that I'm really good at coming up with different ways to get things done. Our task as a group was to think of, create, and ultimately make a product and pitch it, as the final would be talking to investors Shark Tank style, and that includes the investors actually giving money to the top 3 products. My group met up and exchanged numbers so that we could talk beyond class about the product that we wanted to create. We talked about problems that we had and wanted to fix with certain products, as you do when you're trying to come up with new inventions. I don't remember coming up with a lot of ideas, but any idea I had was definitely shot down. It's funny to me that that's what I can remember, that they just shot down all of my ideas. I can't remember a single one of the ideas that I had. I just remember they didn't like any of them. I don't know if I should be using real names for my group mates, not like you could find them. I don't even think I could find them again. I had to look through old emails just to make sure I remembered how many people were in my group. But for the sake of this video, their names will be Chloe, Sophia, Lucas, and Harper. Maybe some of those are real names, and maybe they aren't. Thinking back, I think Chloe and Harper were already friends, and I also think their test results were similar, but some groups had to have similar test results because there wasn't enough variety. That mainly meant they could pretty much outvote any one person because they often agreed with each other, and I, not wanting to get on anyone's bad side, would often yield. Chloe and Harper came up with our product idea, which was collapsible food containers. I was pretty sure that such a thing already existed, but they wanted to do it, so I tried to come up with some product designs. because that's what we were supposed to do. I believe I was the only one to draw anything, so that's what we submitted to the teacher as one of the assignments, along with an explanation as to why the product was so needed. I remember not feeling very strongly at all about it and trying to think of how we could get a prototype of it. The teacher had said that we wouldn't all need to have prototypes of our products as long as the idea was sound, but since there was actually money on the line, we wanted to have something to show. That, however, was almost an impossible task, as none of us knew where to go to get this collapsible thing produced. I was feeling really nervous about my grades at this point. Almost halfway through the semester, in a group text, Sophia said she wasn't so sure we should go ahead with the idea since it was too hard to figure out how to produce it. Chloe then asked the whole group to come up with 3 more ideas each so that we could come together and pick a new product. At the beginning of our next class, Lucas came in with the idea that we would make waffle batter with cereal in it and sell that. We were going to call this product Wicked Waffles, and I suppose that it was called that because the sugar content of these waffles was going to be pretty wicked. We redid pretty much everything towards it and got to work on an actual product. We met at Harper's apartment to test out the batter recipe and ended on something alright. I didn't particularly like them because they were super sugary, and we also learned that some cereal doesn't really go into pancake mix well because it ends up weird and chewy. At that point, I was tasked with making a logo for the product, and I actually had a fun time with it. Here's what it ended up looking like, and I'm actually still pretty proud of it. It's cute. When it came to packaging, we all decided that we could just use cheap mason jars to house the pancake mix and print the logo and nutrition facts on sticker paper. Sophia was supposed to go get those jars, and I thought she would just go to Walmart to get a couple, but then I got a text from her to the group about being in Hobby Lobby. And the problem with that is that craft stores like Hobby Lobby are super expensive. Yes, they have amazing selection and I love going to them, but if you don't have a coupon or there isn't a sale, go to Walmart, especially when you're going to be splitting that cost 5 ways with your group mates. Next thing for us to do was make a commercial. Since I was applying for the media arts major, they sort of all assumed I could take lead on that part as well. I believe I did say that I enjoyed filming, but I don't remember saying I wanted everything left fully up to me. We went to Lucas's house to film, and I ended up bringing my own camera. Lucas had his 2 other roommates that were ready to participate in the commercial when Chloe and Harper's friends had fallen through. So filming wasn't all that professional because no one was professional, and everyone was kind of telling me how they wanted the shots to go. And a lot of the shots that they wanted were in slow motion. And the issue with that is that you need good lighting for slow motion shots. I should have known that apartment lighting is always terrible and I should have rented some lights, but I didn't. Yes, I still have the shots for this. I don't think I have the fully edited version of what I did, but yeah. In a couple of hours we were done filming and I ended up taking the footage to the library to edit. I spent hours on this project trying to get it to look right, and I had also asked my group mates to join me so that we could look at the footage together. By the way, we were getting dangerously close to the end of the term, so finals were approaching. Because of that, none of my group showed up to help me edit. I did the best that I could with what I had, and I sent it to the group. From the texts I got back, there seemed to be a consensus that the quality wasn't good enough. That didn't really have anything to do with my editing, it was more or less how dark it was in the footage. Chloe then told us that she had a friend who worked in an editing capacity at their job and wanted to give him the footage to edit, but he also had hourly rates. She wanted to make sure we were all okay with it so that she could split the cost with all of us. So that's what happened. We didn't get to see the commercial ourselves until on the day of the actual presentation. There were scenes literally taken from what I had edited and put with brand new footage that they had shot. Chloe told us that there had to be some reshoots because the footage was too dark. Funny, because that's exactly what I had been saying, but since no one paid me, I guess it didn't matter what I thought. She and Harper were both in the video, so I'm not sure when they did the reshoots, but they didn't let the rest of the group know about it. Our presentation went about as well as could be expected. We all had to get up there and we all had to talk. It felt like I didn't have much to say, but I definitely did let the teacher know how much I had contributed to this project. On that final day of class, both Chloe and Sophia were asking for the money from us to split the bill. This is kind of where I got really annoyed. Of course, I believe in splitting things when it's fair, but I didn't feel like I should have to pay for an editor when I spent hours trying to edit myself, and some of the final product actually had some of my editing in it. I had also created the logo and the packaging design, and they didn't pay me for that. But to top it off, Sophia ended up keeping those fancy Hobby Lobby jars for herself. And if you are making me pay for the jars, let me have 1/5 of the jar, or just buy them for yourself and let us use them for a whole 20 minutes for the presentation. I, of course, didn't say any of this and ended up paying them all what they wanted. The main reason I did that was because we had to give each other grades, and I didn't want them saying I didn't deserve a good grade because I didn't quote-unquote pay my dues. Also, I was just so done with that group and their shenanigans that if paying them a little was all I had to do to get them out of my life, I was happy to do it. If I had to do it again, I would hope that I was strong enough to bill them for all the services that I provided. As for this project, I spent about 28.5 hours completing it. These things always take way longer than I originally suspect and never turn out the way I picture, but I bond with the way they look, so it's fine. At any rate, let's get into those final shots. Okay, so I have to say, this was incredibly difficult to complete. I took so many breaks. I wanted to not do it. It just took a very long time, and it was so much crocheting that my hands started to really hurt by the end of it. I don't really know if I will be able to survive doing the whole evolution in one episode. I mean, I guess if I'm doing these videos monthly, it will be doable, but just thinking about how it was basically a consecutive week of me trying to get this project done, and it drove me absolutely insane. However, the final products, this is kind of what I was envisioning when I said that I wanted to scale things up as they went. I think they're pretty well scaled up. I kind of really like how they turned out. They turned out great. They look amazing as a set. Venusaur clearly was the hardest one to do because it took the longest to get him completed. I used the same size crochet hook as I did for both of these for this one. So because I wanted the size bigger, it meant a lot more stitches needed to be completed for this one. So I'm not sure if when I do the next evolution, can't remember what that is right now, I'm not sure if I will continue on using the same size hook for the biggest one, or if I will just make the hook size bigger so that it's not as difficult for me. I don't tend to like to do that because it kind of changes the way the finished product looks. I like to think of it as like pixels, and when you use a bigger hook, it looks more pixelated. Because as you can see, this guy, there's a lot of pixels in the creation of him. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense. Overall though, I am extremely happy with how these turned out, and I'm glad to have one evolution completely done. In the future, when I do continue this, because I really do want to continue this, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I'm not sure how crazy I'm gonna get, but I already feel crazy for going this far. I had a blast making these, and I hope you had an enjoyable time listening to me ramble on and talk about things. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, please leave a like below. And if you want to, leave a comment telling me which one of these is your favorite. I think I would have to say Venusaur is my favorite because I spent the most time on him, but I don't know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! You didn't want me, now you want me? This is what I have to deal with.